So this idea that awakening is the remedy the answer to the problem of the human experience is a great error or misunderstanding of the mind. And even when there have been genuine awakening experiences, when the human experience still continues, there is often confusion and disappointment. And so true awakening is once again postponed until another awakening experience is had. So this postponement is a trick of the mind. And the trick is, or the key is, to allow life itself to be the teacher, to be the satsang, to be the constant invitation to the awakening that is available right here, right now, not as an experience, but always. Not as something that matches or lives up to the mind's imagination, the mind's comparison with an experience of awakening. The mind is always divided. The mind is, its function is to compare, to contrast, to categorize, to compartmentalize. That's its function. That's how it can function in three-dimensional reality, in the world of form. It has to be able to see contrast, separation. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it's applied to the idea or the desire for awakening, then there's a misunderstanding, there's a misperception, and a missing of the gift that is available always. That gift is that life is always inviting you to a deeper acceptance. Life is always inviting you into openness. Life is always inviting you into something deeper than the comparative mind. As the foundation of living, yes, the mind continues to function as a tool when needed, but as the foundation for living, foundation is not here, becomes top heavy and then we topple over, we trip over, and then we try to pick ourselves up again and wonder where we've gone wrong and wonder how we can fix ourselves and wonder how we can find that elusive and much desired state of openness, of peace, of spaciousness. But when the foundation, when we live from right foundation, then we live in right relationship to life, to ourselves, and mind comes into right relationship with the totality That foundation is the open hand. That foundation is the openness. When I say openness, I'm not talking of an openness of the mind, although it can include that. I'm talking of a visceral, energetic openness. And life is always the mirror to what is not open, the mirror of what is not open. Yeah? And in that mirroring, in showing you where there is not openness, in showing you where there is the clenched fist of resistance, of reactivity, of self-righteousness. And we'll explore that a little bit more. But in showing you this, it then also offers you the invitation. Let's just say a little bit more about reactivity and self-righteousness. Whenever there is a response to life which ends up as a perception and then ends up as a position, a standpoint, a viewpoint, if that response ends up as a certainty of I am right and you or life or this situation or what I'm seeing is wrong, and I'm certain in that, and that certainty is felt energetically as a tightness, as a contraction, as a diminishment, as a shrinkage. Then you can be sure that it is a self-righteousness that has created a veil of perception, in other words, lack of clear seeing, and ends up as an opinion, a standpoint, a position, a strong emotion, a sense of righteousness and wrongness. That is a reactive response, not an intelligent response. It's a response from the tight fist of me. It clouds our vision so we do not see clearly. And then we end up believing what we see, but what we're seeing is a veil, through the veil. Then we come out of alignment with an innate intelligence. And we come out of an alignment with a harmony, the harmony of the totality. When you become sensitive to this reactivity, this inner reactivity, you will notice that it creates suffering in you. It probably creates suffering in the world as well. But first of all, you start with you. When you become sensitive to that, then there is the possibility of clear seeing. That sensitivity to an inner disharmony, an inner sickness, if you like, an inner poison, that sensitivity becomes the grit that creates the pearl. It becomes the catalyst for transformation. That can be hijacked by the mind, by the small me, that then attempts to fix itself, to find some way of perfecting itself, some way of healing itself, or some way of becoming enlightened or awakened in order to transcend itself. That is an error of direction. It may seem to have a temporary result, positive result, but if that is followed, it will be followed ad infinitum and will postpone what is available right here. The invitation of this grit in you, when it arises, is not only to see it clearly, to notice it. When I say see it clearly, it means you do not only do you notice it energetically, you feel it as an irritant, as a poison, as a misalignment, as the cause of suffering. But in that, you don't give yourself to it. In other words, you don't believe it. You notice it. It's here. It's a real experience. It's not to be denied or avoided in some kind of pretense or arrogance that you are beyond it, you have transcended it. It's here. But don't give yourself to it in the sense that don't believe the position, the perception, the standpoint that it is drawing you into. Yeah? Do not believe the outcome of it. Don't put yourself in it and become it. Just see it. In that clear seeing, the invitation is an energetic surrender. It's not a surrender of the mind. It's not the mind coming to peace. It's not the mind coming to a conclusion. It's not the mind looking for the answer. If I think about this differently, then I won't feel it. That's not the way to go about it. Even though there may be the automatic attempt to do that. The invitation is an energetic one. The surrender is an energetic one. It's a dropping into the foundation of being. It's a relaxation down. That's openness. That's acceptance. There may still be a lot of turbulence here, but awareness has relaxed its attention from this, and in doing so has flowered into openness, into what I call the open hand of love. When I say love, I don't mean you have to love or like or possess or take ownership of that which you're experiencing, which may be very difficult or painful or turbulent or challenging. Love is deepest acceptance. Love does not take a tight position. It can still say no. Yeah, there was a question last night about seeing and feeling an abusive situation. Where do we accept and where do we say no? Where do we say yes and where do we say no? Intelligence says no when no is an expression of openness. It's a soft no, it's not a reactive no. Yeah? If there's a reactive no, in other words, it comes from a sense of rejection. It comes from a sense of repulsion. It comes from a sense of fighting the enemy. It comes from a sense of a grievance. And it may include all those subtle layers. But within all those subtle layers, which are dependent or arise from your conditioning and your history and your particular personality makeup, within all those, there is a no that arises from this. That's why I ask, what is your deepest knowing? Not your surface knowing about what's right and what's wrong. Your deepest knowing. Wait till you come to this. The deepest acceptance of what is here. And then respond from that. If there is a no in that, it will have a very different frequency and a very different outcome to a no that is reactive. Intelligence is in this. Intelligence is not in this. True knowing is in this. Only knowledge is in this. True knowing is the place, the foundation from which to live life. And then everything that appears becomes your invitation. Everything that appears, every relationship, every circumstance, everything in your inner and outer environment is an invitation. That is the purification that is often spoken about. The purification of conditioning. Purification of conditioned reactivity. We become conditioned in reactivity according to our history, according to our personality, according to our karma, according to our social training, our cultural training, our historical training, our gender training. There are many layers. But when we're willing to embrace, accept, and invite life in as the primary teacher, as the primary invitation to this much yearned for awakening, then life will surely become a clearer and stronger and more insistent mirror. That's how much life loves you. It's not a punishment. It's not a punishment when you have an awakening experience, whether it's a short one or a long one, a shallow one or a deep one. It's not a punishment when you have that awakening. And then life still happens. And then I'm still here with all my shit. It's not a punishment. It's love. Life says, now you're ready. Here it is. So take that invitation.